are talking Operation Blood Hunt. And this is directed by Mandylor, a quite well-known actor in B-movie circles. He himself has a small role in the movie. It stars Quinton Rampage Jackson, one-time UFC fighter. You may know him from the A-Team movie that came out some years ago. You've also got Jonathan Rhys Meyers here. And this is written by Brandon Slagle and is effectively a kind of action werewolf horror movie. It takes place primarily in 1945, so the aftermath of World War II, really. And there is an island in the South Pacific where a group of American soldiers seemingly have gone missing. So the US Army brass sends a ragtag group, almost like a Dirty Dozen style group of misfits to go in and investigate what's actually happened here. And Quinton Rampage Jackson is part of this group, playing Reverend, a seemingly holy man, but he secretly works for an arm of the government which deals with supernatural threats. And upon arriving at this island, we find that there is actually werewolves on this island, and the government may have sent this team of soldiers there under false pretenses. What will happen? You will have to watch the movie and find out. So let's talk about it. Okay, this movie is a decidedly mixed film in many regards. It is a low budget movie, and I think it definitely has highs and lows. So let's talk about the highs first of all. The werewolves. I think this movie has some genuinely kick-ass, badass werewolf sequences. They are multiple werewolves, they're all practically realised, they look different, and they have some fantastic action sequences. These are very much big, feral, vicious creatures that, you know, can rip a person in two with ease. And, you know, they actually have a little bit of kind of difference in the way they look, so you can kind of tell them apart, which I thought was pretty good. I think the effects are wonderfully realised, practical kind of suits with, you know, moving mouths and stuff, so we don't have the typical kind of static growl face all the time. You know, they look good. These costumes are extremely well realised, and again, we have to consider this is a lower budget movie, but I have to say that there's some really cool sequences involving these werewolves. Now, we don't see huge amounts of them until the third act, to be honest with you. We get a couple of sequences here and there, but when we do see them, they are absolutely fantastic. Number 2, set decoration. There is some, again, when you consider this is a low budget movie, there is some really fantastic set decoration here. There's sequences with like body parts all over the place, mutilated bodies, blood up the walls, things like that. Again, it really does look impressive for the low budget movie that it is, and they've made a real effort here, I think, to create a immersive world where, you know, you're believing what you're kind of seeing to a certain degree. And I thought it was very well done, and that also goes hand in hand with the location shooting. I believe this was shot in Thailand, and I think it really benefits from being shot outside of the US, because it gives that, obviously it's going to take place in the South Pacific, and I think it being filmed in Thailand purportedly, I think it genuinely benefits from having that sort of that background here. We get, you know, the jungle shots, we get various kind of, you know, ornate architecture and things like this. So I thought it really was you know, pretty well done for the kind of the low budget movie that it is. Let's talk action sequences. So I have to say as well, Mandylor is a big fan of the martial arts, and there are some pretty decent action sequences here with some impressive stunt work. Again, you have to kind of caveat this by thinking this is a lower budget movie. So, you know, the time of the shoot is probably shorter than a lot of films. The experience, the equipment, but I gotta say, I thought the stunt work here and some of the action sequences were really kind of quite well done and pretty exciting to watch. So all of that is some pretty strong checks in the positive column. What doesn't work? Okay, here's the other side of the coin. This movie is a low-budget movie, and some of the stuff is on the weaker side. Primarily for me, I have to say the acting. I think the acting is pretty weak across the board here. I don't think anyone really kind of shines as a particularly good performer. There are a couple of performances where I would say, you know, okay for a low-budget B movie. But there are quite a few performances that are on the weaker side and even down to bad acting here. So the performances are weak, as is the characterization. Characterization of these of our characters here is pretty on the weak side. You know, we get a sequence where we have our crew or our sort of dirty dozen start to all jump out of a plane, and they're kind of giving like a speciality in what they actually do. But, you know, they don't really, it doesn't really ever amount to very much. We never really see them doing anything else really that the others don't do. So it's kind of like, well, you know, what was the point? And they have this international kind of team of protagonists. And again, it's just very cheap, cheesy, macho stuff. There are a couple of sequences that do betray the low budget, and I've mentioned that the scene where they jump out the plane. Again, you can argue that looks a little on the cheaper side. That, to me, I'm forgiving of, because I appreciate this is a lower budget movie, and I know that, you know, there are going to be limitations here, but obviously there are going to be people who just want to see perfection on screen every time, so it would be remiss of me not to kind of point that out. The other thing that's all I've got to say, I think the story is really kind of unfocused. There is various kind of plot threads, including Lewis Mandylor's vampire character. We get Rampage's Jackson's kind of backstory, his character and his father. Various kind of shenanigans going on with this kind of tribe on this, who are actually kind of the werewolves and things. And it's really sort of unfocused and quite messy story-wise. So the story feels kind of convoluted, sort of motivations to things seem very just kind of like flippant, and not particularly kind of well realised. Characters' decisions again just seem illogical, and you could have questioned it a lot of the time. And there are some elements here where I feel are just not kind of expanded upon. There's a sequence where let's just say the motivations of the US Army are kind of revealed, and they're communicating to someone that they want them to do a particular thing, but we never really see the fruits of that. So again, it's like, why introduce it? Why introduce this kind of element where you do absolutely nothing with it? So I think visually speaking, this movie is pretty interesting. I mean, yeah, okay, some of the kind of the uniforms and stuff might not be quite up to snuff, but I think visually speaking, certainly in regard to the werewolves, those sequences really stand out as the strongest ones. But there's a lot of elements here that just seem unnecessary. Lewis Mandylor insisting he'd be in the movie as a kind of a vampire is completely unnecessary to me. It almost feels like they're trying to make this kind of like a Van Helsing style start of a mini franchise for Rampage Jackson here. So it's a real mixed bag. There's stuff which I think people will enjoy. There's stuff which I think will make your eyes roll in the back of your head. And as such, I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. A bang in the middle, because, you know, when you level it all out, that's where we are standing. Have you seen it? What would you think? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.